welcome back to another Artifact Corner. Today we will be looking at a beautiful still life painted in 1890 by Daniel Folger Bigelow. It is a watercolor on paper titled Still Life of Apples. Daniel Bigelow was a distant cousin of our Fannie Delord Webb Hall, and that's likely how this piece ended up in our collections. Bigelow was a very accomplished painter and a local to our area. Let's learn a bit more about Daniel and his life. Daniel Folger Bigelow was born on July 22, 1823 on a farm in Peru, New York, to Nathan Bigelow and Clorinda Folger Bigelow. When Daniel was a child, his father arranged for him to take painting lessons from an artist named Ashel Powers. Needing more money to continue his studies, he worked for a local marble quarry. He worked there until he had saved $100 and then quit to go back to painting. When the money ran out, he would go back to the marble yard to earn more money. Here is an excerpt from an article from Adirondack Life magazine written by Peggy O'Brien in 1971. In an interview some years later, he reported that he also turned out portraits and claimed them to be the worst portraits he ever saw. Marble cutting and portrait painting were a means to an end. His eye was still on the beauty of the landscape, and many times he returned to his favorite spots to gather them into his memory for the time when he could paint as he wanted. At age 20, Daniel took his first trip to New York City to go to the museums and study all of the paintings exhibited there. When he was 35, he decided to try painting full-time and left New York to head to Chicago, where he set up a studio in the Crosby Opera House and joined an artist group headed by G.A.P. Healy. 9 years later, this group founded the Academy of Design, which in 1882 became the Art Institute of Chicago. In 1865, Bigelow went back to Peru, New York to visit family and friends. While back in New York, he met his future wife, and they were married on November 1st in Schuyler Falls. His bride, Charlotte Marie Barnes, was half of Daniel's age. At the time of their wedding, he was 42 and she was just 21. They went back to Chicago and had 3 children while Daniel kept painting and teaching. His eldest son, Folger Allen Bigelow, was a talented painter in his own right, but his life was tragically cut short. At the age of just 23, he was shot and killed when a friend was cleaning his gun. Daniel continued painting and teaching. He also led summer sketching trips to Lake Michigan, Wisconsin, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and Massachusetts, and to his native New York. Here is another quote from Peggy O'Brien's article. Daniel Bigelow continued to paint until shortly before his death in Chicago in July of 1910 at the age of 87. A few months before the Chicago Art Institute honored him with a parchment in recognition of long and faithful service to art. Alonzo Jones in 1870 wrote of Bigelow what was echoed in varying degrees in newspaper articles over the years. An artist's personal characteristics are sure to show themselves in his work. Mr. Bigelow is strictly honest, conscientious, a good-hearted man, a good neighbor, and a genial friend. Exceedingly modest, retiring, and unpretending, always speaking well of his brother artists. Our painting is in beautiful condition. The colors are stunning and the frame is in quite good condition as well. There is a piece of glass protecting the watercolor, which is also helping to preserve the painting. It is a lovely little still life, and we are so lucky to have it in our collections. Thanks so much for stopping by.